Hi, Trinity. We're back today. We're going to learn a little bit about how to use edge-to-edge pantographs and printed pantos. So I'm sure you're all familiar. There are great companies that make pantos. This happens to be one from Urban Elements. They all pretty much come the same way. I have people ask me, well, how big can I use a pantograph? Whatever your machine will allow. Pantographs are the easiest way for you to get a design. You can also, with the PPS, you can print your own patterns. Pantographs are made by all sorts of different companies. There's literally probably 75 of them out there. You don't have to always have the printed. You can print your own by buying and purchasing digital designs from any of the major companies. They all really are good. You really want to make sure that you have good solid lines. So let's load up a pantograph and see how it works. On my machine, I actually have a clear plastic sheet, and I do this so that I don't have to look through the lines of my pattern grid. I'm going to take my pantograph, put it under just the clear plastic sheet, and now I can line it up on the pattern grid. Let me get enough of it in here. I can line it up on the pattern grid so that I'm exactly on that 1-inch line. So now I'll know that my pantograph itself is starting straight on my design. Okay? Once that I have that all lined up, now I need to look at some of the pieces parts of my pantograph. In this particular one, you'll see that there are little bits of designs on the top and the bottom. Those are for you to line up when you go to the next pass. So your main design usually starts from the right-hand side, follows through, and then when you get to the end of the quilt on the left, you're going to come back on this line and in at the right. That's the normal way to do it. Start at the bottom line, end at the top line. Once you've finished, now you're going to take your needle and you're going to go to one of the little bit designs. You'll put your needle in right there and you'll leave it in the down position. Advance your quilt and you'll watch until this matches up on your laser light. So, to explain, so my needle is down in this position. I'm going to advance my quilt, and as I advance it, my needle is down, so my machine is going to move like this, and I'm going to end up right there. Now I know I'm lined up for the next pass. In using the edge to edge, it's a simple process. With the PPS, the only thing that you're going to do is just follow the lines themselves and keep the laser light on the lines. The easier that you make it on yourself, the better it is. By sitting down with your hands in front of you, you have complete control. Even when you get to little itsy bitsy parts, you can come down in and you can follow those itsy bitsy parts. So let's say that you have a design that you want to do smaller or bigger pieces. You can take any of the designs that you've purchased, you can scan them and make them smaller. This particular one I made much smaller. I made it fit on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. In doing that, this little guy, this moose and this fish, they are teeny tiny. With the PPS, let's see if I can show you how teeny tiny we can get. So let's go right here on that fish and we can follow the lines. I'd like to see anybody be able to be that close, standing up, bent over, all hunkered down on their machine using the rear handle standing up. I just don't think you could do it, but you could try. So what else can we do? There are lots of pre-printed designs that are out. This is just happens to be one. It's follow the line quilting. I use these the same as I use a regular pantograph, but these are built a little differently. So in this series, you have a border design, you have a corner design, and a block design. These are simply put together by moving them or copying them and pasting them together on different sheets of paper. But even in doing that, I can take and let's say that we're going to move down here just a little bit. So let's say we have a block and we want to put the design in a block. We're going to take our needle, put it on the first corner. We'll take our vis-a-vis marker and we'll put a dot. And I always use the vis-a-vis because I can erase it really quick and I can mark all over my plastic however I want. So now I'm going to move my needle to the next dot, make a mark. I'll move it to the third corner, make a dot, and move it to the last corner and make a dot. And just as an FYI, if you noticed, I was not standing up or having to move to the front of my machine. You can just peek over the top and see what you're quilting, where your needle is. So once that you have your dots, all you have to do is connect the dots. You can take and use a ruler. I just really use any kind of a straight edge to connect my dots. And if I were doing, let's say I was going to do some sort of ruler work, grid work, or cross hatching, I'd be really, really precise and I would use an actual hard ruler to connect my dots. And I probably would be more specific of how I wanted my lines to be. So if you look on here, my quilt, which your quilt is always going to be the same. On this edge, I look like I'm fairly symmetrical here, but you can see my quilt is not completely straight. Most quilts aren't. So once that you have your block design on, then you just need to take the design block itself. And now I can say, okay, well, how do I want that flower in there? Do I want it at an angle? Do I want it centered? You know, maybe on this, maybe I want it to go right there. You're in complete control of where your designs are. Once you have the parameters of where you want to quilt and what you want to quilt, now it's strictly up to you. And it could be anything. Maybe I want to put this design in the corner and I want to come and do cross hatching out into the outside. Use your imagination. Just because it's printed doesn't mean I have to use it this size either. I could scan this design and I could blow it up to fill this entire block if I wanted to. It's totally up to you. The PPS is not just for edge to edge. It can be used for individual designs, or I can be totally creative and make my own. Let's say I wanted this flower to be very small and I wanted it to fill this area in rows. All I have to do again is scan it, go to my computer, cut and paste, and then print it out whatever I want my design to be. Let's say I wanted to do 4 corners. I'm going to be totally creative. I want to do 4 corners, so I'm going to line my design up here. I will go ahead and stitch this guy, and it's, you know, pretty easy just to take and turn the design. Let's see if I can get it here for you. Turn the design. Now I've stitched it in this corner. Now I could stitch it in this corner and again over here. So again, if you're trying to figure out what it's going to look like, use your vis-a-vis marker and you can draw the lines so that you would see, once that I have this little leaf design in here, maybe I want to come in and practice my free motion and just do a different flower. Anything that you can think of in your head or that you've doodled on paper can be done. You could draw your own design and PPS it without a problem. So let's say that you even wanted to do words. You wanted to say happy birthday or happy anniversary, or you wanted to do a logo. This is off of our instruction sheet. All I have to do is slide it underneath, bring my PPS down, And I could follow these letters. If you were doing pieces parts, you could do anything just by printing it out on your computer. So any font that you wanted to use, graphics, it could be anything, any image that you can print off. I've used coloring books for my designs. I can take a teddy bear from a coloring book or a popular superstar, whatever it is, and make my grandson a quilt with what he wants to do. And one of the really, really fun things too is that you can take just a plain piece of paper, have your grandkids put their hand, draw around their hand. Whoop, lost my thumb right there. And now I could PPS their handprint on their own quilt. How awesome is that? It's easy. Anything you can dream up, you can do with the PPS.